Hi, I'm Mike. I'm an American who's been living in Paraguay for the last 15 years, and I make videos about Paraguay and my life here. And I just shot a video this afternoon and got home and checked it out and found out that the first part of it was corrupted. The file was corrupted, so I have to reshoot this introduction. But today's video is going to be about buying gasoline here in Paraguay, prices and recommendations on where to buy and where to avoid. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, and here it is. It's the 5th of June 2026, so we'll see what the current prices are. But before I get started, I want to say thank you to everyone who is liking my videos and sharing them out and commenting. It's really helps the channel out with the algorithm and everything, so thank you. Now, when we're talking about buying gasoline or fuel here in Paraguay, there are several different brands that are available, and I want to look at the three that I would recommend and that are pretty much recognized as the best, and then three that I would strongly caution to stay away from. So first of all, and that's based on empirical data. Basically, there have been, during the last few years, several news stories had been released. Every couple of years there's an investigation, and gas stations get caught diluting the fuel, adding ethanol, or to not selling the right octane at the right price, and also not calibrating their pumps correctly. So you have to be careful when you buy your fuel here. Basically, because you could end up doing long-term damage to your engine. You know, it depends on the type of vehicle that you have, and also to ensure you're not getting ripped off. Anyway, the first recommendation I have is Shell. Shell was gone from Paraguay for I think like 20 years or so. They returned in 2021, and they acquired the whole chain of another company which is called Barco Enrolados, and they have very high quality fuel. They've never been caught up in any type of scandal, and it's an international company, so they have very good control of what they're doing here. And I would recommend it if you have particularly if you have a nice car, if you have a Mercedes or a BMW, some kind of nice vehicle, you want to make sure you got the best fuel you can. I would go with Shell. Now, the next up that I would recommend is a company called Petropar. This is the national company of Paraguay, and they also have a very good reputation. They have had some. The thing is, when I say that companies have been caught, ripping customers off, it's never at the company level. It's at the independent operator level, individual operator level, and so basically, the companies that have the better handle on all of their outlets and all of their franchises are the ones that are more trustworthy, and that's what this is based on. So Petropar has a pretty good level of control. And also I should say, getting back to talking about Shell has over just about 320 different outlets throughout. Shell has like 300 outlets, something like that, and Petropar has something similar, somewhere around 300 outlets. So they have, Petropar has their outlets pretty much covering the whole country. So when you get out into the sticks and stuff, there's less control and there's more shenanigans that get played. So, you think you're loading up 5 liters and you're only getting 4.5 or whatever. But that aside, they have a very good reputation, Petropar. And then the third one is the one where I'm standing in front of right here. If you can see behind me, Copetrol. Copetrol is a very good company, Paraguayan-owned company. The people that run it have been running it for over 50 years. Zapag Group, and that's also one of the strong families here in Paraguay. I always talk about Zucalilo or Viersi. Zapag is also a very strong family here in Paraguay. And this is a very reliable company, Copetrol. Normally we buy from Shell and from Copetrol, and Petropar too, actually. I should say we frequent all three, but Copetrol is also very widespread. So no matter where you go in Paraguay, you're pretty sure to run into a Copetrol or a Petropar or a Shell. And another thing to take into consideration too is that, you know, especially when you get out into the rural areas, if you see a gas station that is, you know, remote, is kind of run down looking, no matter what the brand is, you got to be careful, because that's one thing about Copatrol. They do very high volume, especially in the greater Asuncion area. So the higher the volume, the more trustworthy they are, because they're cycling through their fuel and they're making their money. Now these people out in the sticks, or it could be a Copatrol out in the sticks, you know, that individual operator, he's hurting for business. So he's more likely to load up his fuel with ethanol, or maybe to not correctly calibrate his pumps, because he needs that money and he's going to try and cheat the customer. So you got to be careful. If you see something that's like not high volume and you don't need to fill up with gas at that particular moment, you probably should hold off and wait. And anyway, those are the 3 recommended. Now I will tell you 3 to stay away from. Number 1 would be Petrobras. Now, Petrobras is the brand of the Brazilian government. However, in Paraguay, it isn't. They sold their licensing fee to the Zapag group, the same people that own Copatrol, ironically. But the problem is that Petrobras, Zapag bought that whole thing as, you know, as a turnkey operation. So it already had the individual proprietors there in place, and they were very poorly controlled by Petrobras. So there was a lot of scandal that came, a very bad reputation, because you could go to one Petrobras and not have any problems, and another one, you know, they're monkeying with the pumps and they're putting in additives into the fuel to stretch it out. So, and Zapag hasn't been able to clean that up yet. Keep in mind, they've had Copatrol running for over 50 years. This other one they just bought like 5 years ago or so it's still not in hand. So you're best to avoid Petrobras. They've been rolled up in a few different scandals over the years, and you know, there's other options, like I said, so just best to stay away from them. The next one is Lubripar. Lubripar is also a very poorly controlled operation, and they have had problems as well with cheating and, you know, customer complaints and everything else. So I wouldn't recommend going to Lubripar. And the third one is Puma, the brand Puma. Now Puma is an international brand, but in Paraguay they're so poorly controlled that there's basically no corporate oversight. So these guys are doing what they want, and then when you open up that door, you know, you're going to get the fraud and everything that comes with it. So I would say keep away from those 3 brands. And there's several other brands too. You know, these NX and they keep popping up. These are like very small corporations, and I wouldn't buy from any of them, to be honest, unless I was running on fumes or I was somewhere stuck someplace and I really needed to get some fuel in my vehicle. Otherwise, I would never go there. But anyway, I think that's enough about talking about buying the gas. Now let's go take a look at the current prices. Now, gasoline obviously is sold here in liters, so I'm going to give you a little bit of what they used to say back in the day, an explanation, a demonstration, and a practical application. I'm going to show you the prices that are in effect today, the 5th of June, 2026, and you need to basically multiply by times 3.8 to get to a gallon. The prices are in liters, so multiply by 3.8 and then divide by 6,000, basically, because the current exchange rate is roughly around 6,000 Guarani to the dollar. So let's go take a look at the price list, and we'll see what we got. Now, the octane levels are different than in the States. Basically, the highest octane level here is a 97, and that translates to like a 93 back in the States. So these other ones, I don't know individually, like the standard here is an 85. That's probably like an 82 in the States. But anyway, let's go take a look. Standard, 6,690 a liter. The 90 octane, the Supra, 7,190. The Supreme 95 is 8,640, but actually it says 95 here, but it's actually 97. I don't know what the deal is because at the pump it says 97. Anyway, diesel 8,890, and diesel elite 10,650. And then we have vehicles here that run on alcohol as well. So alcohol here 5,020.90. Now I should say also that gas prices have risen during the last couple of months. For gasoline, approximately 25%. For diesel, approximately 30%. Since they kicked off the ill-advised war against Iran and drove everybody's prices up through the roof. But anyway, that's a quick look at the prices here and a little bit of information about buying gasoline here in Paraguay. I'm standing here on a noisy corner here in Luque, and I'm going to cut it off for here, go in and grab myself a nice cold beer. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Adios, amigos.